Welcome back, everyone. In today's video, we are going to be doing something really fun with a longtime friend of the channel, JakeKeltonCrafts, who is an awesome builder, and together we are going to be doing a build swap with two structures in the Nether. And the way that this is going to work is that I'm going to spend 12 hours working on a Bastion, and Jake is going to spend 12 hours working on a Nether Fortress, and then we are going to switch places, and I will spend 12 hours working on the Nether Fortress, and he is going to spend 12 hours working on the Bastion, and once we're done with that, we will meet up and look at the end result. Here is the Bastion that we are going to be working on, and there is a lot of work that we are going to need to do if we want to get this finished within 12 hours. I'm going to add a timer in the top left corner, so that way you can keep track of how much time we are spending on this. So I think the first thing that we need to do is dig out the area around the Bastion so that we have some room to work with. So it's been just about 30 minutes, and we now have an area where we can see what we are working with. In looking at the Bastion, I think there are some characteristics about it that we should probably keep. Like this central room here, which is surrounded by some corridors and different things, and then on the interior there are these pathways across it. And I also think for the build that we are going to put into this area, we are going to keep this wall in the back. And so I think what might be useful is to have this build be a circle that's going across right about like this. We could have towers going up around the sides of it, and then the central tower in the middle, which would go all the way up to the nether ceiling, and then it'll be backed up against a cliff. These may be some ambitious ideas, but let's see what we can do in 12 hours, or I guess 11 hours and 24 minutes. So now I think we can get rid of this structure, and what we're going to do is select this one here. Let's do the second mark there, and almost perfect. So close. There we go. We've successfully removed the Bastion, and now we can get to work building the new one. And the first thing that we need to do to get started with building the second one is to figure out the dimensions. And let's see. Now that the old Bastion is out of the way, this 30 block radius seems like a pretty good center for this structure. And then we will use the 60 as the outer limit of the structure. And then across the middle point, we are going to have the bridges that will link up the two. So after just about an hour, we have the first layer done, and I think we are getting an idea about the design that we are going to be doing in the different design elements. So down here with these little features, we've got some polished basalt, we've got crying obsidian, we've got black stone walls and nether brick fences, and I think those are going to be some of our primary detail blocks that we're going to use throughout. Obviously, we are going to be putting in some other things as we go along. This is just the first layer, but we've already used almost 2 hours, so I better pick up the pace if I want to get this done. So we're just about to 8 hours, and the middle part of this structure is coming along very nicely. There are a few things that we still need to do. We've got a lot of details to add here, and then if we go inside, there is still some work that we need to do because I don't think this is where the floor is going to go. I want to extend that down quite a ways, but I thought now would be a good time to take a little break from the time lapses and do some work together. So I think what we are going to do for the bridges is keep it consistent with what we have for the platforms. We're going to use the polished black stone and the smooth basalt in the middle, and we're going to have them just go across. And then I think instead of having these come up and meet at right angles like this, we will have it be more of an angle so that there can be a hollow point in the center so we can look all the way down. Yeah, I think something like that will be perfect. at least for this bottom level. As we go up, we're going to change it a little bit. What I was doing for the sides here was to use nether brick walls and then alternate those with nether brick fences and just go all the way across. And that way they can be next to each other without connecting up. We also shouldn't forget to place the crimson trapdoors in as well. So I think that's a pretty good design for the bridges down here. For the bridges up here, I think what might be fun is if we have them alternate, so we can have a diagonal bridge going across like this. Then on this one, it would be a straight going across, then a diagonal, then a straight. And that way, they're not all overlapping each other perfectly. And when you look up, you'll see them crisscrossing back and forth. So there we have diagonal bridge number 1, bridge number 2, bridge number 3, and bridge number 4. And looking up from down here, you kind of see the effect that we're going for. So you have the bridges that are crisscrossing all the way up, but they aren't covering each other up because they're not all at the same angle. The other thing that we are going to need to figure out though is how to get between the different levels. And for that, I think what we are going to need to do is go to the corner. And over here, we are going to have a little bit of space that we are able to work with in having the staircase go up. And there are a lot of blocks here, which we just have to remove first so that we have some room to work with. The one thing about the corner towers that we have, though, is that the interior has a lot of crying obsidian, so we aren't able to remove it. And we're going to have to find out a way to design around it. So I think something like this is going to work, where we fill in most of the space with the blackstone bricks, and we'll just have a little bit of crying obsidian exposed just to light up this space. And then as you go up the stairs, you'll end up on the second level, and then we'll just have that go all the way up this tower here. Well, that took a little bit of time, but we do have a staircase now, so we are able to get to all of the different levels going up and down. Now let's do some more work in getting this build completed. I guess that means it's time for some more time lapses. We are just about down to 3.5 hours, and I think our central structure is in a pretty good spot to where we can now start working on the area around it. And I've already started on that process by getting the terraforming done behind the build. But the next thing that we need to do is work on what we are going to put right around here where this circle is. And I think what I want to do is have a wall here, which is going to be connected up with a bridge to the entrance that's here and the entrance that's right here. And for the base of the wall, I think we are going to do something similar to what we have over here with the basalt and the magma blocks. And I think we are also going to have some towers where the bridge from over here is going to meet up with the wall. But now that we have an idea of what we're going to do, let's get started with it. So we are down to less than 20 minutes left, and I think this is where I am going to stop. When I started out, I wasn't really planning to make this all about crying obsidian, but as I went along, I just kept adding it more and more and more, and now we have a crying obsidian bastion. But now it's time to hand it over to JakeKeltonCrafts and see what he is going to do for the next 12 hours working on this. But while he's working on it, we are going to head over to his Nether Fortress and see what he's been up to and start making some changes over there. We are now over by the Nether Fortress that Jake's been working on, and let's see what he's been up to. And oh boy, is this pretty amazing. Look at this. He's got a little lava boat over here. Wow. I like all of the pointy parts and the lights. Ooh, good choice with the soul lanterns, of course. This is so good. It just keeps going on and on. Oh, I like all of these bridges too. Lava. This is so awesome. Oh, and he kept the lava pool at the entrance. I like that. And this fortress is huge. Ooh, I like the lava coming out of here too. There are so many great little details on this build. Oh, look at this. We've got the netherite blocks with buttons and the red nether bricks, which are really nice. So many great details. I love all of the bridges. There are a ton of really great details in these pillars here. I mean, you've got the lava coming out down here at the bottom. You've got the nether wart in the back that's lit up by lamps. Let's see. Ooh, glowstone. Yep, that is really good. And then you've got the red nether bricks up at the top too. It's not quite the same as what's here, but it's a little bit different. That's really cool. And there's such a great use of lava here too, just like it would be if it was water. So you've got the lava coming down from the ceiling over here, and it goes into these channels and around this corner. Let's see what happens. Oh, and it goes right off the edge here. That's really good. I like that. And it's got these supports here too. He thought of everything with this build. And somehow, I've got to find something that I can add to this build, which is just super amazing. I don't even know what I could do. Having had a chance to take a look around at this build and get a sense of the design elements that Jake used to put into it, I think where we are going to start is with this little island down here. And there are some ideas that I have for what we can do with it. But now that we are ready to get started, I think what I should do is turn on the timer so that way I can keep track of how much time is going. So we've got 12 hours to go. Let's get started with this first section. We are about 3.5 hours in, and I think we are making some pretty good progress here. If we head over here, you can see the work that I did to clear out this space. So now instead of having a bunch of land here, we've got lava, and then we've got these lava waterfalls or lava falls coming down, and then this bridge, which extends out. So that way you can walk from this building here over to where the lava falls are. We now need to head over to where the boat is, and we are going to be doing some more work over here. And I think what we are going to do is work on the stairs that come down, because we have stairs around here in the back. We have stairs over here in the front. And we were working on a design for stairs here leading down to this island. And I think this design could work really well for these. That was a relatively quick process to get these stairs upgraded, and I think this is going to fit in really well with what was already here. So these stairs are now completed, and we have the final spot that we are going to work on, which is going to be over on the other side of this fortress. And taking a look back here, there is a lot of work that we can do over here to make the back looking just as good as the front. So we've just hit the 5-hour mark, and I think we have made a lot of progress in getting this main structure all connected up to the ground and finished on both the front and the back. Along the front, I've connected up the terrain that was floating along here so that way it doesn't look like it's floating anymore. I've also moved the bridge so that it's all connected up with the land and there's a little bit of a pathway leading out. And then if we go around to the back, you can see all of the work that was done back here to make this a more complete structure on both sides. So the 3 lava falls are all linked up here. They meet around in the center and then go across into this lava lake right here. And then along the base of the structure, we've got this area filled in and connected up with these pillars here. And I've been looking around this area to see what we can work on next. And I think the area that we are going to finish up on is this spot right here. With all of the old Nether Fortress cleared out, there is a lot of space for us to work with here. And I think what we are first going to do is clear out the ground and replace it with lava. And then what we are going to do is have a structure that is going to rise up out of the lava and then have the main building be right about this level and connected up with different bridges to the main structure over here, sort of like these bridges that we've got going on this side. So let's get to work. We are winding down to just under 15 minutes, and let's take a look at the build that I just finished up, which is right over here, and it uses some of the features that we had over on this side. So we got the lava falls coming down, and originally it was going to be a pillar in the center, and I just really didn't like how that was looking, so I put in these lava falls instead, and I think that turned out really well. Up along the top, we have some soul fires, which is going to be a nice blue color here, and then the lava circle around the middle. And I think overall, it fits in really well with the other builds that Jake had in this area. But now I think it's time to meet up with Jake and see what he has been doing with the build that I did first.
We are now over Foxfoil's build, where he spent 12 hours building initially a rebuilt Bastion, and then I spent 12 hours rebuilding it. And before we do the reveal, Foxo, what are your thoughts on the first 12 hours of the Bastion? What were any challenges that stuck out to you?
Well, there was a lot of terraforming because the Bastion was buried. So I spent probably the first hour just cleaning out a bunch of the terrain all around it. And then I had to spend about another hour trying to fix all of the terrain that I cleared out because it looked very broken. So,
I have some stuff to tell you about that once we get out.
Okay. I'm sure there were probably some gaps in areas, but yeah, it was, yeah.
I don't know that I made it any better. Let's just say that.
Yeah. Otherwise, it was just trying to come up with some ideas that worked. And I think in the end, having seen your build, we ended up not having a lot of overlap in the blocks that we used.
Yeah, I thought that your build palette was really clean and really, really slick. And you definitely had some aesthetics that I thought were awesome and not something that I've really seen before. So,
well, and
I'll walk through some of the stuff that I did, but I'm excited to show you it. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I liked how it was just kind of funny because you used the netherite blocks for sort of like the accents. And then I had been using the lodestones. As
yes,
block.
Yes.
Yeah. I was like, oh, who knew?
It's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, shall we take a
because I am really excited to see what you've been up to over here.
All right. Well, let's take a look.
So, okay. So I kind of was seeing these towers out of the corner of my eye, and I was trying not. Oh, whoa. I love the balloons with the lights. This is a great idea. Oh, this is so
I got a little inspired by the Minecraft movie trailer. The piglins are on like gassed balloons riding around. And I was thinking as I was working on this build, I had in the back of my head, I was like, how do they travel the nether? How do the piglins travel the nether? And since we can't capture ghasts or anything, I was like, well, what if instead they rode these like shroom-light, helium balloons around? And yeah, so that became their mode of travel. Plus, you had already integrated in your build these kind of areas that were jutting out that almost look like landing pads that you could, fly off of and stuff in different little locations to jump into stuff. So yeah, I was just all inspiration from your build was just, wow, what if we added hot balloons everywhere?
Yeah, well, and I think you took my wall and like increased it by like 1,000,000% here because these
are
like really good.
height.
Yeah, this is so much better. Like this is a good height for it. And
Well,
I really like what you did with the towers, because like the towers, I was looking at the towers. It's like there's just something missing. And the bridges, so good. I like the angle ones too.
Yeah, I was like, well, I love the bridge that you had, and then I was like, more bridges.
Yeah.
I had the gates down here with the idea of maybe that they had like these boats that they would sail in and out to bring in gold from other places, and then went with the hot air balloons for transport. So maybe they have both. I don't know.
Yeah.
But one thing I never got around to building was like a little dock for them to actually like pull their boats up next to. But yeah, I loved the bridges, and really, the Bastion is supposed to be like this impenetrable fortress. And when I was looking at your build with the lava moat around the outside and the inside, I was like, oh man, we got to do bridges everywhere.
Yeah.
This is awesome. So,
Yeah.
and I loved your use, more than anything, I loved your use of the respawn anchors as decoration and light. And I was like, oh yeah, those are going everywhere.
Yeah. They're really good. Yeah.
So I added down here, if you kind of back up a little bit and just take a look, does anything stand out to you looking at the face of the gate?
Well, you've got the eyes, and then
Shows you my sculpting skills still need improvement.
no.
It's supposed to be a piglin face with
piglin,
the tusks sticking out and the nose. Though I didn't add anything dark enough behind the nose.
Okay.
So.
All right.
And then I was like, well, what if they had like cages to capture stuff? Go ahead.
Yeah. No. It was just okay. I was like looking at the nose, thinking it was the mouth. So
you gotta sail through the mouth into the Bastion. Well, I took that same idea and I added it a couple more locations around the rest of the build. So there's a couple more different versions of piglin faces added in as the markings of, hey, this is our Bastion.
Yeah.
These ones up here are fancy because they got gold rings attached to the tusks. So
very nice.
They're the wealthy ones.
Yeah. Well, obviously they would be up at the top.
Right. The king piglins.
Yep.
And then if you go inside, I didn't do a ton of additions to it. I tried the space up here. I liked the archway, but I was like, man, I feel like there needs to be something kind of hanging from the center.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of mimicking where you got the chains at the bottom. I added chains at the top with this obsidian crystal something or other, just kind of reflecting the same designs and stuff that you used other places. And I like that it's almost like they're tapping into the crying obsidian and the power of the crying obsidian to then power everything else that they have going on in their Bastion.
Yeah, and I like the lava coming down here.
I mean, it never hurts to add more lava waterfalls everywhere.
Yeah, you need lava. It's the Nether.
It's the Nether. And one thing I loved about your build overall was the walkability with the staircases. But I was like, the walkability is great. There just needs to be more danger being a Bastion. So I added a nice hole in the middle that you can fall all the way down. With the idea being that this is, as they refine the gold on the different floors and do whatever goldsmithing they do, they check it down the middle. And that's how it ends up on the big pile that you had down here, which I loved the pile of gold. It's like, this is their treasure hoard. And it's beautiful. Yeah. Oh, I did not realize. I totally messed that up. One of my waterfalls I did afterwards, and you can tell that I had a rickety bridge over here because I wanted it to be able to, you could actually, risk it to go and get it. And instead, my lava waterfall just flowed right over the bridge.
It's an extra security measure. If you can make it past the lava, you can have some gold.
They got to turn on and off the water lava fall whenever somebody has to go pick up some gold.
This addition here too with the crying obsidian.
Oh yeah, the little plinths.
Yeah, I was thinking about it as I was working on your bridges. I was like, my bridges are a little flat.
All right, so I think the one last thing that I want to show if we exit out the door is if we come this way. So you had like 90 degrees, kind of a 90-degree Bastion, and I was like, man, this is great, but we gotta flip this thing all the way around. We're turning this thing full circle. We're making this thing an enormous citadel, as I called it towards the end. But that left me with these giant walls of blank netherrack. I was like, not only was there texturing and everything that needed to be done to make it look slightly more interesting than just plain netherrack. But I did decide, I was like, well, all of these piglins need somewhere to live. So what if I added in these little walkways and everything to different houses that are not highly decorated, but they all have different, you know, steps up and different pathways and everything, where all the different houses that their families live in, and then they work in the Bastion gold refinery, you know.
Yeah.
Add a little something.
Yeah.
But
No, I like, because I mean, if you're looking at the Bastion, like that's what it has. It's like all these stairs all over the place.
Right. And they had kind of these winding pathways everywhere, and I was like, well, why would I do the winding pathways, but like in the vertical wall of these walls surrounding and around the Bastion. So, and that gave me a nice excuse to be able to do stuff like these little lava bridges, or these areas, landings where you can, you know, get onto air, you know, the kind of hot air balloons and fly around to go steal more gold and bring it back to the Bastion as you fall up again. You and ledges are not your friend.
Nope.
One thing I wish that I had added in the Nether Fortress, but I think adds a lot, and we could think about it for other builds, is there's something a little different about these pyres than the ones over the Nether Fortress that you had as well.
Yeah.
And all the smoke is just from adding campfires underneath the soul sand, or the soul soil that's on fire.
Good idea.
And it's just like, it adds so much more movement with all of the smoke rising up and everything. It makes it look way more active. I don't know, way more alive.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I wish I thought about the campfires at the other place. So
yeah, that's a really good idea. I really like the addition of the respawn anchors in these areas here. Wish I thought of that.
Yes.
So good.
The designs you had overall were just so beautiful. It was kind of an element that I kind of took from the almost grids of crying obsidian, was that when I saw the respawn anchors, to me it was like, that's a highlight point. My eye goes to those things, and they stand out really nicely. So I kind of took the same idea of the crying obsidian, and then just added in a couple of the respawn anchors.
Yeah.
And then I don't know how they fly this airship, don't ask me, but the piglins have the technology, they figured it out. That was kind of the main, if you were to stand all the way back, what kind of catches your eye. And it's in contrast to the dark of the rest of the Citadel was something light up there.
Your additions are like huge with this. So good. I love all the bridges.
It needs more bridges, honestly. I was very tempted to add like 45-degree angle bridges, or what I really wanted was I added these towers scattered around. Like, it literally, kind of like with the Nether Fortress was, I was like, I have an hour left. What can I do really cool? So I started scattering around these towers around. I was like, yeah, these make really cool extra things, like just keeping an eye out on their scouting areas, whatever.
Yeah.
And I started to build bridges between the actual fortress and these things, and then I was like, oh my gosh, this distance is so long and the angle is so terrible. I was just like, this, even if I could pull it off, I wouldn't be able to pull it off in like the 38 minutes I have left in the time.
38 minutes to do a 47.65 degree bridge.
Yeah, easy, no problem.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, awesome. I'm glad that you don't hate it.
No,
I was a little nervous.
I think they are it's really good. It's just like so many little light points and stuff.
Right. It would not have been there, because if I was doing a Bastion, I never, ever would have thought to use respawn anchors, or to bring in as much like basalt and even the Nether brick wall adds that kind of dark tone that otherwise would, I don't know, it was needed. And so everything that I built was purely from the inspiration of what you initially built. So it's awesome.
Yeah. Well, this project has been a ton of fun. I've really enjoyed getting to work with JakeKeltonCrafts and getting to see his build style, which is super detailed and really amazing. This Bastion has seen not only an upgrade with the work that I did, but it's seen a huge improvement with the work that Jake has added in as well, and just taken it to a whole nother level. If you would like to see Jake's reactions to the changes I made to his Nether Fortress, his video is linked in the description down below. And if you would like to check out both of these builds, a world download is included in the description down below as well. But I think that is where we are going to leave it for today. If you enjoyed today's video, please leave a like. If you want to see more, please subscribe. And until next time, see you later.